Welcome to VGK Today, a daily podcast providing you an inside look at the Vegas Golden Knights 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run. I'm Justin Russo with the Golden Knights on Monday, April 21st, after the VGK opened their first round series with the Minnesota Wild with a 4-2 win in Game 1 on Sunday night. Vegas put forth a strong effort to grab the victory, and the top producers in the regular season continued right along in the playoffs. First up for Vegas, it was Tomas Hertl who broke the ice in the first period.
Pietrangelo was shot left wing from the draw, knocked down. Hertl shoots and scores! Found the rebound, bottom of the left circle, upstairs on Gustafsson from a very sharp angle. Tomas Hertl in his 70th playoff game has his second Golden Knights playoff goal. 1-0 Knights, 4:38 to play, first period.
A beautiful steal and score for Tomas Hertl to open the scoring against the Wild in Game 1. And fast forward to the middle frame, it was his line mate Pavel Dorofeyev who would jump in, striking just 6 seconds into a Vegas power play.
Way better than any power play in Golden Knights history. It had been just over 20% last year. Theodore Wright, Dorofeyev scores! Wide open from the right circle. Power play goal, Dorofeyev. The Knights have a 2-1 lead. The power play converts right away. In the regular season, 13 power play goals for Dorofeyev out of his 35 overall. Here he gets his first playoff goal in his second playoff game.
That goal gave the Knights a 2-1 lead heading into the third period, and the third was all about Brett Howden, who struck early and extremely late in the final frame to cap off the win.
William in college, 98 points in 83 games. Knights ahead. Howden shooting, he scores! From the left circle, Brett Howden gives the Knights a 3-1 lead. 2.5 minutes into the third period, Brett Howden's career year continues. 23 in the regular season, and now his 7th career playoff goal. Knights have their largest lead of Game 1. Eriksson against Hertl. Eriksson wins it to the sideboards. Foligno sends it deep, 6 seconds. Near side, fight for the puck along the boards. Taken by the Knights, sent down at the horn, into the goal! At the horn for Brett Howden! Vegas takes Game 1. The Knights survive the last-minute push by the Minnesota Wild.
Now that goal from Brett at the end is one of the closest that I have ever seen. I mean, we're talking one frame at 0.1 seconds where the puck is not across the line, and then the next frame at 0.0, it is. So, I mean, you're talking about razor-thin margins for Brett Howden, who quite literally could not have timed that any closer, but the goal did stand. Brett had 2 at the end of the night, and Vegas walked away with the Game 1 victory. There was lots to chat about from Game 1, a fun one from the Fortress, so after the break, we'll throw it to my conversation with Dan Duva from T-Mobile Arena right after the game. Well, Golden Knights fans, if you want to experience some of the fun that we went over from Game 1, you can experience the excitement of playoff hockey firsthand with a limited number of tickets still available at the Fortress. Visit VegasGoldenKnights.com to learn more, with, of course, Game 2 coming up on Tuesday. Also want to let you know that the Vegas Nighthawks are back at Lee's Family Forum on May 3rd and May 10th. You can catch the fast-paced, family-friendly action of indoor football with tickets available at nighthawksfootball.com. Well, here we are on VGK today after Game 1 between the Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights with a 4-2 victory here at T-Mobile Arena. And Dan, one thing that sticks out to me in this game is the fact that a lot of the themes that we talked about for the Golden Knights all season long came to fruition in this one. We've talked about the power play. We've talked about Pavel Dorofeyev's great season. Brett Howden, we'll touch on each of those, but we'll start with the power play and that goal from Pavel Dorofeyev. There ended up being a second one later with about a second to go, but timely power play goals coming again for the Golden Knights.
Timely and expeditious, Justin. 6 seconds into the power play, and it was the first power play for either side of the game. And it's not to say that there couldn't have been penalties called before that one. It was Alex Pietrangelo who drew the high stick, got it right in the face in front of his own net. Eriksson Ek was whistled for that. It's 13-27. 6 seconds later, Dorofeyev into the back of the net after a Hertl faceoff win on the left. Theodore threw it over to the right, and Dorofeyev had it was hard, accurate shot, but Gustafsson never saw it. I don't think he saw Theodore make the pass. And the Knights have so many weapons. If I were Gustafsson or the penalty-killing Wild, it would be difficult to discern exactly how they might attack. You've got, Hertl in the bumper position, Stone attacking from the left goal line, Theodore a threat from out high, Dorofeyev is great shot from the right circle. Oh, and then there's Jack Eichel.
That guy.
So they have so many threats. And remember, down the stretch of the season, because, Hertl missed 8 games injured in the Tampa game. By the time he comes back, Stone had been resting. Eichel had missed games with an upper body injury. In other words, the power play, as we had seen it over the long haul, really has not had a game together in a few weeks. They wasted no time. So that's significant, and especially in the theme of the Knights getting rarely on the power play, rarely in the penalty box. Knights end up with 2 power plays. One of them was in the final minute or so. They score an empty net power play goal, so that's a little bit different. But it's on track numerically. The Knights having broken records for both fewest time shorthanded and fewest power play opportunities, but they capitalize. And that's, as you said, that's what happened in Game 1.
And I think that was a question for some people, too, given some of the names that were out of the lineup down the stretch. Would that power play be able to get back to its old ways? And it certainly did. And the guy who scored that goal, Pavel Dorofeyev, another somewhat unknown in the postseason, only 1 game under his belt in the postseason before this, but 35 goals in the regular season seemed to translate pretty well in this one.
Yes, and timely goals, 7 of his 35 were game winners. 13 of his 35 were power play goals. Bruce Cassidy said it in the postgame show. He's just stronger on pucks. Looks like a player far more comfortable with the NHL intensity from last year to this year.
Happy for Pav as a young guy that has scored a lot. You don't want that to have to answer those questions as the playoff goes along if you can help it. So I thought he did some other things well. Took the puck to the net 5-on-5 well. Their line was good. The Satter had a breakaway chance. Hertl scores. Probably our best line offensively, right? So,
and just bouncing back from the elbow he got in the head at Madison Square Garden from Jacob Trouba, missed significant time. And yes, he did come back and he was productive down the stretch last year, but the Knights lineup was loaded. You had acquired Hertl and he got healthy. You still had Marchessault and Stevenson and Carrier and Amadio. And, just the depth of the Knights was even stronger. So Dorofeyev had just that Game 5 appearance, and in that game against the Stars, which the Knights lost 3-2, he only played 7 minutes and change as the Knights were trying to claw back in that series. It seems to me that a year's difference has not only shown us what kind of an offensive threat Pavel Dorofeyev can be, the numbers are there, but it has also shown us the kind of full NHL player he has become. Getting stronger and more confident, of course. Seems to me that Dorofeyev has adapted without missing a beat from regular season NHL hockey to playoff NHL hockey.
So from Pavel Dorofeyev to his line mate, Tomas Hertl. Of course, Hertl last season entered the postseason with only a few games at the tail end of the regular season and had to kind of work his way into that lineup in terms of building that chemistry with the line mates that were constantly changing in that Dallas series. But Tomas Hertl looked like the Tomas Hertl we've come to expect for this Golden Knights team tonight, and he had that big goal to start things off.
Yeah, 32 goals in the regular season, second highest total of his career, speaking only of the regular season. And then what does he do? A multi-point game. That had been his 10th career playoff multi-point game. Today was his 70th playoff game. He did have 7 with the Knights last year, including 1 goal, but was -6, like you said, Justin. Had never played with Mark Stone until Game 1 of the playoffs. Mark Stone said on our pregame show on the radio that, having won the first 2 games of that series against Dallas sort of clouded the shortcomings that was in their game, having really not had an opportunity to play with one another.
We won our first 2 games in Dallas, and Yeah, it was nice to win them, but maybe it wasn't the best thing for us, right? We may have not have been playing our best. Kind of got a little bit loose, but we were mixing some new faces. We had a lot of guys coming in after, whether it was surgeries or I think Petra had his appendix removed, and Carrier had something with his knee, and just a lot. I think Tommy only really played 4 games coming off a knee surgery as well. So, usually it's easier with 1 or 2 guys maybe coming in, but we had quite a few, trying to do that. So
then there's just the health factor. We saw it sometime in December where that knee procedure from last winter, Tomas finally got back physically to the place that he wanted to be, and the offense was then just flowing to the tune of among the best goal scorers from the 4 nations on in middle of the season. Throw in Brandon Saad, the 29 games that he played in the regular season. Bruce said it the other day with respect to Hertl and Dorofeyev on the same line. It wasn't really the plan because both of those guys can shoot. But even though they're on the same line, they continue to shoot, and the result was 67 combined goals in the regular season.
Not bad.
And they've already got 2 in 1 playoff game.
We could go up and down the lineup and talk about just about everybody on this Golden Knights team, but one more guy I have to single out is the guy who had a couple of goals in this game, and Brett Howden. And what a breakout season it was for Brett. Bretsky was trying to get 30 down the stretch there, as Keegan Colasar continued to tell us, but the game translating again to the postseason for Brett Howden, a shot that it felt like we saw just last week here at T-Mobile Arena with a perfectly placed shot to beat Gustafsson and give the Knights an insurance marker.
Set up by Nicholas Waugh, who was set up by Hannafin, who was set up by Pietrangelo. That kind of, you dial it back a little bit. You see how a play starts. Great finish from Brett, but, the practice, and also notably the lack of practice with the whole team down the stretch. Playoffs, you got a few days to regroup, get the whole team out there. And Noah Hannafin said it on our radio postgame show, something they've been working on in practice and getting that puck up ice. Hannafin to Waugh in the middle, Howden left side, and you described it well just in the finish, reminiscent of how he had scored the other day.
Yeah, it was just a clean breakout. That's something we focused on a little bit. Petra made a good play, and just working on our transition, getting up into their hands, and obviously how he's got the touch this year. So he's been an awesome player for us all year. He can play any type of role, physical. He can score, great skater. So happy for him tonight.
And Bruce said it after the game. No matter where Brett might play, if it's on the top line with Eichel and Stone or on the 4th line with Waugh and Colasar, don't change your game.
Yeah.
And the proof is in the pudding. Then throw in he's on the ice in the final stages of the game where he has often been super reliable, and he scores an empty net power play goal, so he ends up with 2 goals in the game. The empty net goal at 0.1 on the clock. Just enough mustard on the shot.
Oh, yeah.
From 100-plus feet away for Brett to get a couple of goals. And some might, and this came up with Ovechkin and his chase of Gretzky, how many of those .895 were empty net goals. Being on the ice in those situations and converting with an empty net goal is a huge compliment.
Yeah.
It's a sign of a reliable, trusted player who can execute under fire. And so guess what? Regular season, Brett led the Golden Knights with empty net goals, 5 of them. And here he is, empty net goal in the postseason. It is a continuation of what has been a career year.
Shifting over to the Minnesota Wild in this one, it felt like, and Noah Hannafin called their top line dangerous post-game, that line with Kirill Kaprizov, Joel Eriksson Ek, and Matt Boldy with a couple of goals in this game. It didn't feel like a whole lot happened outside of the top line in terms of production for Minnesota. Would you see in the entire group up front?
Well, one of the things that I'm not sure the Knights have an answer for right now is Eriksson Ek in the faceoff circle. He took 31 faceoffs and won 21 out of 31, and that's a crazy high number. There were a lot of faceoffs in the game, slightly more than normal, but when you're going to have that top line out there and he's winning such a high percentage of draws, that means the top line is often going to have the puck in its hands. Kaprizov is a magician. You wonder how quickly he gets back to form. He missed so many games this year. He played half the games, 41 of them, at different stages, missed time. He got back on April 9th, had 3 points in his first game back, but only 1 assist in the few games after that. Where is he in not only the playmaking, but also the goal scoring? You look at the goals per game, and he is among the highest active goals per game players in the National Hockey League for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, he gets 2 assists. It's fantastic. Does Kaprizov have the goal scoring in him to get this Minnesota offense really on par? Regular season, 25th ranked offense. Since the Four Nations break, 30th ranked offense. Again, a lot of that was without Kaprizov and Eriksson, but when it also shows you, Justin, down in the lineup, there's really not a whole heck of a lot of offense there. Now, Marco Rossi had 24 goals in the regular season. He had one of the excellent early chances for Minnesota in this game. It was 15 minutes into the second period. Adin Hill makes probably his best save of the game on Rossi. So that's a player lower in the lineup who can be a threat. He had 60 points. It was his first playoff game here today. Obviously, Boldy is the threat on the top line. 73 points in the regular season, led Minnesota, and he had both goals. You've got some veterans in there. I mean, you've got your Johansson, you've got your Nyquist, you've got your Zuccarello. Is it enough? And there's not quite the off. Brock Faber is a terrific guy on the blue line, but he's not Shea Theodore offensively. So that'll be the question. Gustafsson was very good, but is there going to be enough offense for Minnesota? The top line is going to be the driving force offensively, as we saw today. Is it enough for Minnesota?
2 teams that want to play a similar style, and the Golden Knights' depth that we've talked about all season really coming through in this series in terms of being a difference maker, at least in Game 1 so far. Game 2 coming up on Tuesday, an 8 p.m. start. So we'll do this a little bit later on Tuesday, and we'll get out of here just a little bit later, as we'll be with you for that one as well.
Yeah, the minutes, I think you're right to point out, Justin. Bruce Cassidy said it after the game. The 6 Vegas defensemen all had more minutes than the 12 Vegas forwards.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often. The top line guys, your Jack Eichel, your Mark Stone, they're going to be, somewhere maybe 4th on the list, something like that. No. Vegas, Bruce said he loved the minutes in this game.
I loved our minutes tonight. I don't know who our highest forward was. If Jack was, I knew he was 17-something. And I think Nic Roy was close to 13, Riley 14, Howie 14. You know what I mean? If you get guys between 13 and 17, 18, you're using everybody. Probably means there's not a lot of special teams as well. Some guys' minutes get shortened because of that. So, those are the types of games we're fine with. We will roll 4 lines. We will play any line against any line, given the circumstance. So our team is built that way. I've always believed in having a 4th line that can be a factor in the game and an identity piece for you. And they were tonight, right? They scored the game-winning goal, too. So they have value, not only scoring, but how we're going to play the game. So I think our roster is perfect for that. And even on the back end, what was it? Hanny 22 and Hager 17. Even the D pairs, it wasn't like 10 minutes for one pair and 28 for another. Like that can affect you over a playoff series. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm not judging other people, but for us, our formula, the minutes are closer together. I think it's our best path forward.
I'll just give you real quick. On the Minnesota side, Brock Faber, no surprise, who averages over 25 minutes in the regular season, 5 times surpassed 30 minutes in the regular season, led everybody today, 27-57, followed by Brodin at 25-53. Several players over 20 minutes. Then on the low side, Zach Bogosian, the veteran on the blue line, 10:02. Justin Brazeau, a 4th-line winger, at under 9 minutes. On the Vegas side, high, Noah Hanifin at 22:19. The low, Nic Roy at 13:15. The difference between the high minutes for a Vegas forward, Stone at 17:16, and Roy at 13:15. That's great. 4 minutes. 4 minutes between your high forward and your low forward for minutes. Bruce Cassidy was, I'm not sure how much he went through all the numbers, but just the eye test as the game is going on, you're rolling all 4 lines. Yeah. And to your point, Justin, the depth is a strength of this team. And if you're doing that, you are maximizing your depth. And that comes from, of course, playing with a lead. Penalty minutes, both sides, low. Grand total of 3 penalties called in the game. This is very much how the Golden Knights play to their identity.
impressive not only with the way Bruce rolled the lines and how even he was able to get those minutes, but you mentioned 22-19 for Noah Hannafin. I mean, coming into game one, I could have easily expected him to play 25, 26 minutes in a game like this where he's so relied upon on the back end as well.
Yeah, and for the regular season, Pietrangelo had the highest average at 22-24. You had Theodore at 22 minutes flat, Hannafin at 21-33. And one of the reasons why those numbers are a little bit lower, obviously it's the regular season, but John Stevens does such a strong job night to night. Okay, today this pair is going to get extra minutes, but the next game they're going to be a little bit lower. The other pair is going to get a little bit more. In the postseason, you never know how it's going to go night to night. You might have a double overtime game. You want to try to keep the minutes as balanced as possible, adjusting the pairs a little bit. Hannafin and Whitecloud often together of late. We also saw Hannafin and Pietrangelo for a good chunk of this game, and Haig play with Whitecloud for a chunk as a result. That might be something that we see going forward. Depending on matchups, could happen in Minnesota. TBD.
One non-hockey question for you, Dan. We are sitting here on Easter Sunday, so I wonder for you, what is your favorite Easter Sunday tradition? Maybe growing up or still today?
Oh, wow. Well, of course, the Easter egg hunt. I mean, that is, wake up in the morning and go hunting for Easter eggs. And the Easter Bunny at the Duva House did a great sort of riddle, treasure hunt kind of a thing for a special Easter gift, which was really a lot of fun. I very much missed Easter dinner back in New Jersey today. I was getting the play-by-play and the menu from the family on the phone earlier in this one, so very much missed that. And my niece lost her first tooth yesterday.
Oh.
So a visit from the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy.
That's a big time thing for someone of that age. Back to back, that's impressive.
Yeah, but I have to mention that I did receive a shipment from the Easter Bunny, and there might be an Reese's peanut butter egg waiting at home after the game. How about you?
I think the Easter egg hunt's a pretty good one too. Going in the backyard, usually with my family, we'd get all kinds of cousins around, go for the Easter egg hunt. Now, I was among some of the younger cousins in my family, so sometimes I didn't get much. So the parents would have to step in, and 3 or 4-year-old me would have to go find his one egg and get what he could and scrounge for the leftovers in the backyard. But still a fun tradition.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's a fun time of year, as Mark Stone told us on the pregame show today. And Bruce Cassidy echoed it as well. It's a fun time of year. Easter, often coincides with the start of the playoffs. Today, it coincided exactly. The weather feels like spring, and it's a fun time to be in Las Vegas.
The best time to be in Las Vegas. Dan, thanks for doing this. Happy Easter to you and to all of those who celebrate, and we'll do this again on Tuesday.
And to you, Justin.
Well, great to chat with Dan after Game 1, and as I said, we'll be back on it for Game 2 coming up on Tuesday, so we'll recap that one as well from the Fortress, and hopefully lots more positive to talk about after another Golden Knights win. We'll step aside, and after the break, we will hear some post-game reaction from around the Knights locker room after Vegas' 4-2 win in Game 1 over the Minnesota Wild. Well, Golden Knights fans, the official VGK mobile app is the easiest way to keep up with the team. Plus, fans with the app will have a chance to win tickets to select playoff games. Download it today for Apple or Android. That is the official VGK mobile app. You can also check out Nighttime Plus to stream all the first-round games on your phone, tablet, or smart TV for just $19.99 with the All In for the Realm offer. Visit VegasGoldenKnights.com for details. All right, let's go around the Vegas Golden Knights locker room after Game 1 and their win over the Minnesota Wild. And let's hear some post-game comments from Alex Pietrangelo, Tomas Hertl, and Nic Roy.
You said that the older you get, the longer the regular season feels. You're just ready to get to playoffs. How did Game 1 compare to what you remember and expected?
That's a great atmosphere. I think every building, even when you watch the other games, right, the atmosphere is great. I just feel, especially our group, the intensity kind of picks up and our focus kind of narrows in. And I think we got a lot of guys who really love this time of the year.
How do you feel like you executed the game plan?
Good. I think we were a little slow. I mean, it wasn't perfect. I don't think either team's going to be perfect in the first game. It's obviously a feeling out process. It's fun. It's always a game within the game, right? Both teams will make adjustments for game 2.
What's the biggest thing you learned from your opposition after 60 minutes?
Well, we knew the top line was going to be good. We just got to narrow our focus on them, and obviously they make plays. They had some success tonight, but that's not necessarily a bad thing here. Going into game 2, we can kind of be a little more aware of what they're capable of.
For Tomas, in a game like this that's so tight checking, it's hard to find ice, is that the kind of game that you feel like your style of hockey thrives in?
Yeah, I think so. I always like the playoff. Obviously last year was kind of different for me coming to the new team and not fully healthy. But I'm long time excited for this moment, and I always try play my game, and I think it's kind of a playoff style, and I'm happy I could help with the team today with that. But it's just always all team effort.
For Nick, what do you think you guys did well defensively, especially like deep in your zone today?
I think for the most part we always do a good job keeping them to the outside. So a lot of shots were coming from the point, and we did a good job with the block shots and the high danger shots from the slot. There was a couple obviously, but not too many. So I think that's the best part we did for sure.
Chris.
Tomas, we talked yesterday about maybe a young guy in his first real playoff experience. So you were there once, and for Pavel to get that goal early, especially on the power play, just how much pressure is lifted off of his shoulders now that he's gotten that out of the way?
Yeah, definitely. It's different style hockey, but I think Pav is such a smart player, and I think he has a really good game, and obviously, the power play working all season for us, and it was big goal. Theo make a great play, but it's not easy to finish, and he's just doing all season long, and definitely big goal, and he got a couple other great looks, and he has to just play his game and don't think about it much, because when you overthinking, like you try change your game or something, it never works. You have to just kind of stay a little looser.
Alan.
Hi guys, was there a concerted effort to be a little more physical in game one to set the tone, and can you talk a little about the team's ability to kind of be very flexible in its style of play?
Yeah, obviously I think they were pretty physical today, but you look at our team. I mean, we got a big team. We're not just gonna look for a number of hits. I think we're always going to be a physical team. We're going to win our battles. That's the most important thing. And I think the guys that have that in them to be physical are going to be physical, and the guys that are going to make plays are going to make plays, and obviously raise the intensity and winning their battles. So I mean, it's just the way we approach it.
Paul.
Hi, Nick. Brett Howden scored twice today, and their first goal was off your assist. What can you say about Brett and his play and how it's continuing into playoffs?
Yeah, he's been unbelievable all year. He looked good in camp. He looked good all year. I mean, you look at the goal there. I just saw he's coming with so much speed. So given to it on the outside, and he's goal scorer all week, I guess, these days. So fun to watch. But everything he does out there, good speed. Physical presence, and goes in that hard. So, big player for us for sure.
Adam.
For Tomas, how much space did you see on your shot? Like, how were you able to identify that space, and how hard is it to put it in a spot just where it has to be perfect like that?
Yeah, I just first thing I was trying to get around the guy, just get it quickly, and I think I scored actually similar kind of goal early this season there, and. It's obviously I'm happy with that shot because it doesn't happen often you hit it like that. But I just try quickly up and it was like a little space, and I'm sort of happy got in. But it's one of these shots if you shoot maybe 5 times, not go in, but this time it end up in the net.
Vince.
Tomas, biggest learning lesson from game one? I know it's just 16 minutes, but is there a big takeaway from the game within the game?
I think so. We know, especially I think is the first line. From many, they give us a little trouble. There's a lot of skill in the first line. They play a lot of east-west plays, and I think we have to be a little bit better against them. We know the team. Looking for the matchup. I think we have 4 lines they can play against anybody, but especially against them, we have to just play a little smarter, put it down there. And work hard for it, they're a little smaller guys. But when they have space, they can make it plays, and they give us a little trouble. So we definitely have to be a little harder and ready for them.
Nick Roy calling Brett Howden goal scorer Howie these days. We'll see if Brett can continue to live up to that moniker, and if the Golden Knights can continue to count on production from number 21 throughout the rest of this series, and hopefully for a lengthy playoff run to come. That'll just about wrap things up for today's show. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to VGK Today. And be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform, as we'll be back every day throughout the Knights' 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run with new episodes. Tune in tomorrow as Shane Knighty joins the show. Justin Russo signing off for VGK Today.